Hello everybody, it's Sirwalterj of the Sirwalterj Jones Show. Hey listen, I'm going to do a quick editorial and a question. I want you to share this if you can. I want the ladies especially to share this because I want to open up a portal of discussion about how men have treated women, and are women acting the way they are today because of some man or men. There is a bitter woman effect that seems to come out of the mouths of men. And I want to know from you young ladies, you older ladies, whoever, whatever your ages are, what is it that has caused the psychological effects of your life and your mother's life that you might have seen coming up, your daughter's life? Because I just got to teach at Sunday school, and we were talking about Esther and how she treated King Xerxes. But we were also talking about Haman and his wife and how she acted. We talked about Ruth, all right? We talked about some of the examples of the women. We talked about, of course, Sarah, Abraham's wife, and what was different about them. We talked about the women that men tend to chase after, men who fall in love with, opposed to those who they are repelled by, who there's a distaste in their mouths for. What caused women to act the way they do as it pertains to relationships with men? I was looking at my daughter, who is dating right now. She's been dating for a little while, and I often think to myself, what is it that she's expecting through this relationship, and where is it going to take her? And how is she treating this man? And what is she expecting from this young man in her life? And I have done some research in psychology, and also have dated. I've been married. I have sisters. I had a mother. I have grandmother, aunties. All right. I've been studying women all my life, and not professionally, but everybody's studying somebody. And I notice, some traits. I'd like to know from you, what is it? Why is it that a man would, first of all, call you, or he come to conclusions to say that you're bitter, especially you who are African American women? He says that you're bitter because there's something that you say and there's something that you do. When you disagree with him, you're automatically bitter. I don't subscribe to that type of defense from men because I know I have done it before as well, and it doesn't represent rightfully women who are upset with you. She might be having a bad day, or you just peed her off and she reacted that way. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So she rightfully reacts. She might be righteously indignant, but out of the men's mouth, you are bitter. If you talk to a woman who might be my age, she more than likely have had several men in her lives. Whether it starts at 3 and go up, or she's had several men. She more than likely, if the woman is single, she has been married before. If she's my age, she might have been married twice, and now her psychological stability or status quo right now could be based off of something that a man did to her, or what she expected a man to do and he did not do. For instance, it might have been abandonment from her father if there was a man in the house. It might have been how she was treated by a man, whether it was a male figure, maybe a brother, it could have been an uncle, there could have been some molestation, there could have been a rape, it could have been some type of control or witchcraft from a male figure at church, or maybe on her job through the boss, the CEO. All right, a man had something to do with her psychologically right now. And so we see how women may go on the defense right away. They may attack right away, and men just look at that as this silly woman, crazy woman. She crazy, she's bitter, and all these things, and not sitting back and trying to figure out and talk to her to figure out, what is it? What happened to you? Why do you act this way? It seems like you act this way towards men more so than you do women, or you act this way towards a certain race of men. All right, you may act this way towards black men, but you won't act that way towards a white man. Okay, what is it in possibly her past or maybe her present that cause women to act this way, and can we get a hold of this? I want to bring this up more so in the editorial now because of the COVID-19, the pandemic that we're in right now. It's causing people to stay in the house. And psychologically, it's bad enough that some of you can't live together who only you're at home together for just a few hours at night because she goes to work and he goes to work. So now you are forced to stay home, and then there's the children, and then there are people who are in some very abusive relationships, whether it's verbal or whether it's physical, and now they're in the home, and somebody needs to be protected. But I just talked to someone, a young lady actually, and she was telling me in her area, of her suburban area, she says she's heard more ambulance or more sirens going off during the pandemic than she has ever heard from the years she's been living in that little neighborhood there. What is going on? She asked me, and I said, I believe that we can't live together like this in the pandemic because we've never had to do this. Freedom comes when sometimes men leave the house, they go to work, and their job is their freedom. I mean, that's their way, that's their solace. Home is not their solace. And a lot of women are the same way. They're like, okay, please leave the house. I mean, there was a Cosby episode where Bill Cosby stayed home for all day, and not Dr. Huxtable at the time. And Mrs. Huxtable, Claire Huxtable, was like, okay, I love you, and I love when you come home. Of course, his office was in the house, but many times he did have to leave the house. And she said, I love it when you're gone. But I love it more when you come home, but I would rather you go and then come back home because I want to miss you. And there are a lot of situations that we see right now. So my question to you, share this with a female in your life, and because I'm curious as I write my books, I want to know from you, because men, sometimes we do feel that we know a lot about you, or sometimes we act like we know more than you. But if we can just all sit down and talk, you'd be surprised what we will discover about you. I believe in my heart of hearts that women do act the way they do act, in a distasteful way towards men because of a man. Well, again, whether it was a father, whether it was some boyfriend, or whether it was an ex-husband or something, they do act that way. And I believe some of the women have taken on post-traumatic stress disorder. I believe that I bring up ACE a lot. They have done a study on that, the effects of a child experience that has happened to children that never was dealt with, and it was not counseled. They didn't talk it over, and then they grew into adulthood, and they took that pain, that agony with them, that hurt, they took it into adulthood, and then they took it into a romantic relationship, and then they began to act in this relationship, which were determined by how they were treated, and it was never talked out by the parents, all right, or whoever their guardians were. And these are the things that we need to discuss as we come out of this pandemic, and when we come off of coronavirus punishment, and we go back into the streets, back into the churches, back into our jobs, okay? What's happening at home? Who's talking about this? Who's discussing this? Because the mental illness, that whole industry right now, man, they're waking up, and they're realizing that this virus have exposed everybody, and those who you thought were psychologically sane, this virus is showing us that's not true. All right, I want to talk about this. I want to know, because I want to write properly. I want to know what's going to happen with my daughter, what she's thinking. Now, she and I talk often. We talk about everything, as much as I can talk about whatever, when she allows me to dig deeper into her personal life, and she willingly. She gives me and volunteers information sometimes that I don't ask for, because she looks to me as being a compassionate man. I'm not just her father. She knows that I'm very compassionate, and I ask her these questions so that I can help her. But I want to know from you ladies out there. Tell me about it. Put it in the comments below, whether you're on Facebook or whether you're on YouTube. Put it on the comments below. Help me out. Do you believe that women who act this way because of a man? And if so, what are the remedies? What can we do to help her? especially during this time. I'm just here to do my part in helping out, whether it's in the financial area, whether it's in the spiritual area, whether it's in the physical area, and that includes the mental area. Help me out, please. Put in the comments, share it with your friends and neighbors and whoever it is on your social media accounts, and let's talk about this. I mean, we need not cause this to be another taboo in our lives, because mental illness, as you know, is quite taboo in the African American community, and wherever African Americans go, it's taboo wherever they go. So it's taboo at home, it's taboo at the church, it's taboo on the job, it's taboo in the market, it's just taboo. You don't talk about that stuff, all right? So help me out. Please share this video with your friends, and I want to see it and read it and study it, and maybe you can help us all out. All right, that's my time. This is the Sirwalterj Jones Show.
Fellas, does it seem like you can't get a good woman? Ladies, wonder why you can't keep a man? Then read The 4 Women That Men Desire, Volume 1, by Sirwalterj Jones to figure out how to break the cycle. Go to Amazon.com to get your copy today.